Righty, so here I've got my orchestrator runbook designer. If you want to see how I created this very simple workflow, I have it in another one of the videos, but basically I'm going to provide some initial values including the path for a VM, RAM and CPU configuration that I want to reapply to a vSphere VM. I'm then going to check if it's powered on. If it's powered on, power it off. Reconfigure the VM based on the values I provide in the first step, then power the VM on again, or power it on if it was already powered off, and then create an alert and drop that into SCOM. Now, I created this workflow and I thought, oh, that's very good, but then it sort of suddenly occurred to me that, hey, I may not want to be powering off and powering on that VM in the middle of the day when people might be using it. So I want to reconfigure the RAM and CPU, but I want that to happen outside of business hours. So how do I build that scheduling into this workflow? So it's pretty straightforward. The first thing that I need to show you is where the schedules get applied. So I've created some sample schedules here. For example, there's one for the middle of the night, for argument's sake. And I can specify the allowed time in the middle of the night or out of hours or whenever. I can also incidentally set exceptions here for that. So I can add specific times where I can allow or disallow. And then what I want to do is basically drop that sort of schedule object into the workflow somewhere. Now for me, I want to be able to provide the data up front and then have the workflow sort of wait essentially before it goes ahead and makes the rest of those changes. So what I'm going to do is just delete that link in the first instance. I want to drop on the check schedule object and then link from the initialized data to the check schedule object, and then from the check schedule object through to the get VM status object. But I want to modify the properties of that check schedule object. So first of all, I want to make sure that it's using that schedule template. So maybe I want it to have this particular workflow run only in the middle of the night. Now, basically what's going to happen here is that when I provide that data, it will check the schedule and then say, hey, it's not time yet, it's not the middle of the night yet, it's only, 5:34, so I'm just going to stop, right? In other words, the runbook's not going to finish. So what I want to do is actually have this periodically check the schedule, figure out from that point when is a good time to go ahead and commit the runbook, and then run it at that time. So to do that, I'm very simply going to use the looping capability. Now normally I might put in something that was say an hour here or every couple of hours, but just for the purposes of the demo I'm going to make this 10 seconds so that we can actually see it in action. And then I'm going to specify what the exit function is. So in other words, when should I go to the next step? And I should go to the next step when the schedule conforms to true. Great. Okay, so now I'm going to provide some values. We're going to check if it's the middle of the night. When it finally, we're going to keep checking when it's the middle of the night every 10 seconds in this demo. And then when the middle of the night finally arrives, we're going to go ahead, get the VM status, stop the VM, reconfigure it, restart it, and then drop an alert into Ops Manager. Simple? Yes. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to run this in the runbook tester. Now, as I said earlier, it's not quite the middle of the night yet, so we'll come back and revisit that, but I'm just going to run this. I'm going to specify vCPUs and the path to the virtual machine. If I can remember what it is, there we go. And whoops, that's the vCPUs, that's the path. So vCPUs will set to 4, path was just what I applied there. Alright, cool. So we can see initialized data. The check schedule activity runs first time. Of course, it's not the middle of the night. So if we wait 10 seconds, hey, it runs again. Then we'll wait another 10 seconds. And here it runs again. So, the idea being that it's continually checking. Now, 10 seconds is obviously a lot of checking. I probably wouldn't set it that low. But it's basically going to keep running until the schedule activity, I'll need to be quick here, but until the schedule activity shows as being true, so it's conforming to the schedule. At the moment it's not, because it's not in the middle of the night. And that's kind of a simple way to have actions run when you want them to, rather than having to sort of wait and commit them later on in the night. Thank you.